Yes, everybody. Good morning, West Ham fans. Russ and the West Ham Network. Hope you're safe and well. Happy Thursday. It's time for a morning musing. Later on, we've got the Russ rumour rating, the original rumour rating, my friends. But I wanted to talk, you saw the thumbnail. I want to talk about, obviously, the transfer window's closed. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed the first dip in terms of the transfer window. It will open in about a week's time. And will we sign anyone? Who knows? We have two schools of thought. We have two contradicting views around how much money we've got to spend, if any money at all. To be honest, I'm in the middle. I've got splinters up my arse. Really, I'm sat on the fence because I don't think it's as much as the Athletic said. And actually, it was a fantastic guy I was watching who's a sports marketing expert, and he was talking about PSR and talking about that particular chart and talking about the likes of Aston Villa and West Ham and Chelsea and how much money they've got to spend and how much money he thinks they haven't got to spend and that type of thing. I think we're somewhere in the middle. I don't think we've got no money to spend, but I don't think we've got £90 million to spend. I think at the moment, just my own personal opinion, looking at the numbers, going into it a little bit, I think we've got about a £15 million, £20 million buffer based on what I think we'll probably report as a loss and then what we had as a PSR overtake already, bit of jiggery poker, which is why a lot of people have not necessarily bought a lot of players at the moment because, it goes into this year's money rather than next year's money if it goes into July. And I don't really understand how it all works, really. Which is one of the things why I never really understand why West Ham don't get a shirt out before the end of this financial or the football financial season finishes. I think Aston Villa do it every year. And it's like, Mrs. Budden said to me, what do you want for Father's Day? If West Ham put a shirt out? No. Why don't we put out a shirt, a new shirt, so people can fucking buy it on Father's Day? And you don't put out the main shirt, the first team shirt, the home shirt. You put out the away shirt because people will buy that. Because the wives will buy it for Father's Day. The kids will buy it for their dads and blah, 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 blah. And then they'll buy the home one. It's just, I don't understand it. It makes perfect sense to me. Aston Villa do it every year. And it's like, no one else has cottoned on. Because that would go into this year's money. And so then you've got more. Anyway. Do we press the panic button? When do we press the panic button? I'm sure there's a lot of you who have pressed the panic button already. Some of you probably will say, I pressed it in January. Fair play. Some of you said 18 months ago. Fair play. But I'm talking about the season ahead. When do we press the panic button? I'm not quite there yet, I'll be honest. And again, I'm not gaslighting. It's my opinion. I'm not quite there yet, but I know we are in a tricky position. We know we're in a tricky position. This was the side that finished the game or started the game against Ipswich. There's your match day squad. That's what's gone already. So a fifth of that match day squad is no longer West Ham players. On top of that, we've got Kurt Zouma. On top of that, we've got Mikel Antonio. So that's 6 players gone already. I'm not necessarily taking into account the likes of Cam Swire, Brad Dolligan, and the others, the academy boys, because they didn't really play in the first team as such. Where we've got on top of that potentially Kudus goes, not potentially, 99% sure Kudus goes, Paqueta goes, potentially. Although I think the window for him, he was going to go, if he would have gone to Flamengo, would have gone before the close of the window because then they would have played him in the World Club Cup. Same as the way Man City have bought all their players, the Rydens and what's his face, Anori. They bought players who can play in that Club World Cup, who can register in time. And with the exception of 1 or 2 players, and there hasn't been much movement elsewhere in terms of players being bought. A lot of people obviously waiting to the second bit of the window. It's fucking confusing, isn't it? Game's gone. Rodriguez, he's likely to move. But as I've always said, and I've said, I'm going to get T-shirts. I think it takes two to transfer. It's easy for us to put players up for sale. If no fucker wants to buy them, then we're stuck with them, really. And that makes an awkward conversation in June, really, when they come back from pre-season training. Mavropanos, we're led to believe the club want him gone. Or if an offer comes in, will an offer come from Mavropanos? Probably not. Who's going to buy Mavropanos? Andy Irving, maybe. Championship side, maybe will be interested in him, or maybe a SPL side, potentially. Obviously, he became, was it the 200th international player or something when he made his first team debut for Scotland over the week. The Paqueta situation is an interesting one for me because it's like that was the easy out for him was to go to Flamengo or even to Man City maybe in time for the Club World Cup. That's not happening now. We've still got the court case. I wouldn't be surprised if come August we still have Lucas Paqueta playing for us because I just think this thing's going to drag on and on. Let me know. What do you think? But it's clear, even if we just look at the ones, just them, plus as said Antonio, plus Kurt Zuma, plus Nayeth, plus Cornet. Again, Cornet's probably the most likely player to be sold at the moment. Kudus, we know the 85 million or the release clause comes into is active in early July, I think it is. But that's really been a proper bidding for him. There's all been like speculative Chelsea discussions, and he's been offered. Has he really? I don't. It's just you don't know what to believe. You've got this. As I said, we've got these contradictions in terms of how much money we've got to spend. We're skint. We're not skint. And then Hammer's headlines. Rusty rumour roundup a bit later on. I talk about a player that we've apparently put a last minute bid in for, but. We ain't got no money. How's that possible? Or maybe we do. Or maybe it's a phantom bid. But if it's a phantom bid, then that makes us look even more stupid because it contradicts what you're also saying as well. So it's almost like two contradictions don't make a right. You know what I mean? It's very complicated. There's clearly something, awry. There's clearly something which people are. I can't think of the word. No, it'll come back to me. But am I? Yes, and yeah, Holly did a great show yesterday actually about the youth. Is the youth the answer? It might have to be. We might have to be throwing these kids in if we're not getting these guys. If we're not getting players in, we need a goalkeeper. We've got one recognised goalkeeper. We're not going to get a goalkeeper until the new head goalkeeper coach is brought in because that's stupidness. And I think they will have a massive impact in who we bring in as a goalkeeper. The guys lined up, the guys like Christian Heggie and Finn and Mason, they're not ready, bless them. They're not ready to come in and be this. We don't really want them to come in, the new goalkeeper to come in and be in second string. We want the goalkeeper to come in and compete for the number one jersey because Areola is not the answer, not necessarily isn't the answer to all the questions. Cresswell, we need a replacement there. I don't think we've got anyone really in the setup at the academy who's ready to step up to be that person. Obviously, we've got Emerson, but that I don't know. Maybe, yeah. I suppose you could do Ezra Mayers, maybe, possibly. Kaelin Casey, I think. But then Kate, I think they'd like. For me, I just don't think he's ready. Lewis, I think Lewis is going to be a future star, but for me, I just take him. We'll see what. Know his dad reasonably well now, so which was lovely. And I think, for his development, sitting on the bench, getting 10 minutes here, 5 minutes there, it's going to do him fuck all. Going out and doing a Freddie, going out on loan. And although X has said that him and George Earthy are going to be given chances in the preseason, I think if we bring in players or we don't, or similarly, we don't move on the players we want to move on, then Lewis will go out on loan towards the end of that towards the summer transfer window. I have no doubt about that. Maybe George as well, possibly. I think George is less likely to go out than Lewis, to be honest. There's a whole raft of them, the likes of Julie Robinson. I think he needs to go out on loan, and various others, because we've got 2 or 3 ready to step up, but there's 4 or 5 underneath them which aren't ready. They've got all the ingredients, but they're not baked yet, and they need to go out on loan. You can make a cake, but there won't be, but we'll have another Meepo or Becco situation on our hands, and that's not what we want, But I haven't pressed the panic button just yet. I haven't. And I don't know when I will. Does that make sense? So that's why I'm having sort of talking this sort of trailer consciousness, because it's quite therapeutic. And just listening to you and reading your comments and reading the exchanges, friendly exchanges, please. No nastiness. And again, I'm not gaslighting. It's just my opinion. I know there'll be people there who've already pressed the panic button. I know there are people there who've pressed it in January. And that's your prerogative. You can do whatever you want. But I'm saying I haven't pressed it just yet. But there could be a time where I do. Easily. We've got one recognised striker. With Danny Ings gone, with Antonio gone, we've got one striker. With Evan Ferguson gone, we've got one senior striker. I don't consider Bowen or Kudus to be strikers or forwards. They're wingers, really. They're not forwards like a Fulkrug, like an Antonio, like a Danny Ings, out and out record strikers. We've only got one. We've got one goalkeeper. We've got 2 left backs, 1 right back. Yeah, not quite yet, but it will come. It will come. Hopefully, it won't. But who knows? We don't know. And all we do is speculate. And all we can do is, and the trouble is, because there's no official line of communication, it's the same as every club. No club's going to tell you how much money we've got to spend. No clubs, everyone's going to, vein, we've got their money. But unfortunately, we've been in a situation far too many times where we've said this narrative, I'm pretty sure, every transfer window. And then we had one last transfer window, and then we ended up signing £100 million worth of players, 150 something like that. And it's like the boy that cries wolf. I think there's somewhere. I think it's a halfway house. I think it's in the middle. I don't think we've got no money. I don't think we've got tons of money. And again, that's just me looking at the numbers myself. I've got a brain. I've got a calculator. Thinking about, and listening to other people's opinions, people who are quite knowledgeable in those fields as well. Listen to what they're saying and come up with my own conclusions. But I haven't pressed it just yet. But that's not saying I won't press it. But I haven't pressed it just yet. But let me know in the comments, when will you press that panic button? Have you pressed it already? Why have you pressed it already? What will make you press it? Let's just get the conversation going, peeps. Anyway, and friendly conversation, please. You're very, very good, but I'm just making that point. Anyway, if you're new around here, give it a like, give it a comment, give it a share, give it a bloody, bloody good subscribe. I'll be back later on for the Russyb Rumour Ratings, the Russyb Rumour Roundup, the original Rumour Rating, and talking about loads of players we're probably not going to sign. Anyway, take care, stay safe, stay warm, stay humble, keep the faith, and I'll see you soon. Much love. Peace out, motherfuckers.